This meeting is being recorded. So here we go, folks, from the beginning. Good morning and welcome to the Rotary Club of Sebastopol Sunrise for June 16th, 2021. Thank you, Michael Fells, for being our greeter this morning. And Joe, do you have the pledge for us?
You spelled my name wrong. Not that it's Z before D.
Okay, sorry.
No.
I got the CZ
Michael?
right, didn't I?
Yes,
Michael Fells, I think
alert
that
to-
deserves some recognition on your
so.
part.
I think
I
that's
should know how to spell it by now.
I think that's a $10 fine to our president. Yeah. Z before
All right.
D.
Please face the flag and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joe. Lori, do you have a thought for us?
I do. I actually have two very short ones.
Goody.
The first one is by Will Smith. It says, if you're not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time. Your life will become better by making other lives better. And then the other one, I think we've heard before, but I like it. It was by Muhammad Ali. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth.
Yep.
Yep.
Those are both excellent. Thank you. And then I saw this one. Be someone's sunshine when their skies are gray.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that cute? Isn't that nice? Yeah, this on Facebook, the Rotary Club of Delhi Southex. They always have these great sayings. And Joe. Look at
Yes,
those
Barbara.
happy faces. Doesn't that remind
Yes,
you
happy
of us
faces,
when we're
happy.
singing?
And yeah, we're gonna maybe I'll sing loud enough where the neighbors will wake up this morning here. Do you have any requests here? We're getting down to the short strokes of your year.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't have any requests because my brain doesn't function well enough in the morning to think about things like that.
We've noticed that, yes.
Yeah, I know.
So that said, how about a little zippity doo-dah this morning?
Okay.
All righty. Zippity doo-dah, zippity-yay. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity doo-dah, zippity-yay. Mr. Bluebird's on my shoulder.
It's the truth.
It's actual. Everything is
satisfaction.
Zippity doo-dah, zippity-yay. Wonderful feeling, wonderful day.
It is going to be a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And thank you, Joe.
And plenty of sunshine.
And plenty of sunshine. And I know we have two of our favorite Cyber Rotarians with us this morning. We have Bruce and Helene from the Rotary Club of Sparks, past district governors extraordinaire. And I don't see any cyber guests unless
we have Richard Ruge here too.
well, Richard's not a guest.
He's a member.
It's a wave.
Well, you've been
Good
told.
morning, everybody. It's good to see you all. And then I get to do my mute and unmute thingy because obviously, as everybody knows extremely well, I need these reminders. There we go. Now you're all muted, but you can unmute yourself. And we have a birthday, Jim Blom. Unmute yourself, please. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Well, I don't know where he went. Jim, are you with us? See, I can't see.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yes, now we can hear you.
So your question is probably, what am I going to do on my birthday? I don't know. I have to figure it out. I take good care of myself, maybe.
Yeah. Well, have a wonderful birthday. I hope you have cake.
There will be beer too, I'm sure.
Good. Well, happy birthday. And
Thank
then we have a couple of anniversaries. Excuse me. Richard and Linda Ruge. So, Richard, what are you guys going to do for your anniversary?
Over my shoulder is Lake Siskiyou. So we're up in Shasta. And so we're going to go to a barbecue and
Nice.
enjoy the lake and the scenery.
Right. Well, good. And the question I'm asking people is, when you got married, where were you living and what were you doing?
Oh my. We were living in Santa Rosa, and I was directing a program for developmentally disabled people in Petaluma.
Good. Thank you. Well, I hope you guys have a very happy anniversary.
So it's
And then we have Bill and Maxine Sauber. So, Bill.
Yes, 49 for us.
Woo.
Yeah, so next year will be the big one.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see, when we got married, I just finished at College of Marin and had been accepted at Cal Poly down in San Luis Obispo. So we were going to be moving there, but we didn't really move until the end of summer. But I was working, I worked at the tractor dealership over in the East Bay. So I was driving from San Geronimo all the way over to Concord every day in my Austin Healey.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, at least you had the bridge.
Yeah.
So, well, congratulations to you two, and congratulations, Richard and Linda.
Thank you.
And I hope you have many, 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 many more. And I do see that our speaker, Skip, is with us this morning. So welcome. And we'll hear more from you later, I know, and get a great introduction. And then we have no Rotary anniversaries. But okay, so here's what's going on. And I know this is pretty much a short list, but next Monday is the joint board meeting. That's the two boards get together and have a meeting and sort of make sure that the incoming board is familiar with what's going on with the outgoing board. June 30th is the Redwood Empire Food Bank from 1 to 4. And Michael McLaughlin, did you want to give us a 1 minute spiel on that? Or has he disappeared too? You know, maybe 1 week I'm going to experiment with not muting everybody.
No, I'm here. It's a raucous good time. Packing veggies. We need 7 or 8 people, and it's all still socially distanced and very safe, and everybody wears gloves, and everybody should feel comfortable.
Yes, and it won't be
Coming
chilly.
out and doing it. Michael Fells is going to send out the link later on today, so just click on it and sign up, please.
Super, thank you. And then July 2nd is First Friday. Yes, we're keeping it on First Friday and not moving it to Second Friday. So First Friday, and Kathy, you can talk a little bit later. And then July 7th is President David's first meeting, which means that I only have 2 more meetings left. Yay! So be there July 7th for David's first meeting. And then here's next week's program. Charlie, did you want to give a 30-second?
Yeah, or less.
Or less.
John Mathers is down in Marin. He's the past president of the San Francisco Club, and he is one of the leaders in this Rotary Climate Action Team. And I'm not sure whether that's part of our new environmental avenue of service, but I guess we're going to find out.
Super. I think that's really exciting. Thank you. Diana Curtis.
There, I'm unmuted. Hello. I just wanted to say thank you to the club for those of you who have donated to the Rotary Foundation. And you still have a chance to do that. It's going to, gee, we only have a few weeks left, but we do try to have every Rotarian every year, that's E-Ray, donate to the Rotary Foundation. So if you haven't, please do. You can go online and do it, or you can give me a call. You know, we did send out a little notice to all of you. My phone number's there. It's 707-483-8472, or you can text me at that and I'd be glad to help you. But I want to thank all of you who have donated to the foundation. And if you haven't, please consider doing so, because we do try to have every Rotarian give something to the foundation every year. So thank you.
Diana?
Diana, can I just ask, is there a way to find out how much we, an individual, like, can I find out how much I donated or make sure I have?
Yes, you can go to My Rotary online. And you can go, there's a place where it tells you right up front, actually, where you can click on your area. It shows how much you have donated year to date. It will show you how much you've donated in total. And it gives you all the information you need. And if you have any trouble getting to that, I'll also be very glad to help you with it.
Yeah, and the way that you do it, because I just did this yesterday, is when you're in my Rotary, up in the upper right-hand corner, you have your name, and you click on that, and it'll give your and that's how you get to your donor history.
Thank you, Barbara. Yes,
it took me a while to figure it out. It is not an intuitive site.
Yeah, I'll give you that too. So like I said, if you need some help, I'd be glad to help you.
Right.
Diana?
Yeah.
The other thing is that it's very easy on the Rotary site to set up a monthly donation for the Rotary Foundation. So if you want to contribute $10 a month or $20 a month, it'll just automatically charge it to your card. It's a really easy
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for myself, I did it quarterly. You can do it, you have choices, and you can change it at any time if you decide you want to make something different, a little more or a little less. So that's very helpful too.
So super, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The week in review. Jim Glom, would you like to talk about these photos? Because they were just, this one with the little boy helping, I thought was just so precious. You have to unmute yourself, please. There you go. Nope, now you're muted again. There. Whoops, now you're muted. If you're using your space bar, you have to hold it down. Nope, you're muted.
Okay.
Now you got it. Now you got it.
Well, this was a delightful family. The Rebello, I think the name is Rebello, is that right? Rodella. And I met them up there. There they are, Dorothy and her husband, Rob, and their two kids. And yeah, we had a little peace ceremony that consisted of wishing the peace on that piece of land and through the pole, and having the pole be a acupuncture point for peace on their land. And it was just really sweet, and I had a good time. And then we sat and talked and had some of their homemade wine
nice.
in the garden. And yeah, it was lovely.
And this was one of the auction items. They bought this at our club auction. So thank you, Jim.
And the
who
peace
painted-
pole was made by Nan Still, who is Dave Still's wife, a Rotarian in the Noon Club.
Yeah. So a peaceful collaboration. So thank you very much for Jim for putting this together, and for Nan Still for doing it, and for the Rodella family for supporting our auction. Super. And then we had the second Friday at Libby Park. So Kathy Rogers, would you like to talk about second Friday and our upcoming first Friday?
Yeah, our next first Friday is at Joe Gazowitz's house. So for anyone that hasn't been at Joe's house, it's really a lovely place to have first Friday. He's got a big pool and a big grass area, and most of us know, but we have new members. So you have to come. It's a nice potluck, and it's really nice. So, and can I just say, Barbara, August, I'll throw out August too.
Okay.
August first Friday, we're going to do a joint first Friday with the Noon Club. And it looks like we're going to be doing it at Boletto's. So that'll end up being catered. So it won't be our normal potluck. And then it'll be like a cover charge like we've done before for $20. Yeah. So I won't keep going. There's more coming.
That sounds fabulous. And here are a couple more pictures. And I'm sorry, Michael McLaughlin, but that's just what I captured for you and Jean. I hope that is not indicative of marital harmony.
Caption contest.
That's 2 days before the film festival.
But no, it was so good. I think everybody agrees. It was just so good to be able to see everybody in person without masks. But it was we're outdoors. It was nice and breezy. And if you look at the cookie on the table there.
Oh, yeah.
Teresa, Terry, and they were, oh my God, wonderful.
Die for.
Yeah. Like a caramel, but
yeah.
I mean, I know her recipe. It was really good.
Yeah. So you never know what culinary delights you will get at one of our club potlucks, but it's always fun.
And those tablecloths my mom made, they were like 40 years old.
Ah, nice. David, Mark Raymond.
Hey, look at that. There we are. Now, hold on. Is this the one where Linda got photoshopped in?
No, I didn't have that one.
Sure. All right. Well, at some point, we're going to Photoshop Linda in, taking the picture. So this was at the Freestone Kitchen, Jim and Linda's house. There were 18 of us in attendance. And I do want to point out that this was our first hybrid meeting where we had people present and people on Zoom. So it can be done, but boy, it was tricky. We spent the last probably 20 minutes to a half an hour trying to get our technology together. Jim and Linda had it all set up and it didn't work. We ended up improvising, and we had a screen so we could see the folk online and we could see ourselves. And they had an iPad that was cutting everybody off at the shoulders so you couldn't see their heads. They were not talking heads, they were body language. So thank you to everybody who showed up. Really an exciting group there. Look at that. That's your leadership. And there were 18 of us total working on the future of our club. Really, really wonderful people. And I'm so excited about this coming year. Hope you are too.
Thank you. Now, I know one of the big topics of discussion was when can we start having our weekly meetings in person? And David, why don't you talk about a little bit about how the discussion that we are having?
Well, it's certainly a complex piece. While California has opened up, that hasn't eliminated the virus in any way. So we're trying to figure out a way that we can meet in the safest environment possible, and also we've got folk who are working on making it so that everybody can be included, because not everybody can come to the meetings due to immunity issues or due to whatever. So the hope is that we will continue to have hybrid meetings. So we don't have a specific date, but that will be coming up. And we definitely are going to meeting in person again. We're going to look at outdoor venues as a possibility with a little bit of heat because it's cold in the morning, and possibly moving some meetings to different times of day to afford us, flexibility. I think that probably sums it up. If you got any specific questions, you are welcome to give me a call. You know how to reach me. And by the way, an email is fine if you don't need an immediate response. Use my Gmail account. And if you want to give a call, you are welcome to do it. I have flexibility like that and love to chat rather than email most times.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a big question, and is how can we meet once again safely, especially when it's so chilly in the morning. So it's coming soon, but who knows? So who was lucky number 14 to get another lucky ladybug luck card?
Yeah, well, our next rich winner is Michael McLaughlin.
Woo-hoo! Okay, just a second while I write.
Rich get richer.
Well, not with these, not with these. These have been anything but lucky. So let's see, where are we? We got quite a bit of time here. Sometimes the meeting just, anyway. So do we have any happy bucks? No, nobody's happy?
I'm happy.
Oh, good.
Am I not muted? I'm going on vacation.
Yay! Where are you going?
I'm going to Southern California to celebrate a 90th birthday party. And so all my sisters and family and friends were all flying in, driving in from everywhere. And it's just going to be a fun-packed time. So, and I need to get away from work and volunteer work.
Well, and it's just so friggin' nice to get out of the house and not just out of the house, but out of the community. I know.
I didn't realize you were going to be 90.
Are you taking Richard with you?
No. He's teaching. He had a lot of classes start yesterday. Yeah, for the next 6 weeks, he's a busy boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Are they still all online?
Yes. No, I think he has one that's a hybrid.
Oh.
Yeah, now that you say that, yeah, and it's for 6 weeks. Yeah, so he will be in person.
Good.
Yeah.
He'll have to face those students in person.
That's right.
Look them in the eye. He can tell when they aren't getting it.
So another, I don't know, $30, happy bucks.
Thank you.
Gas, that's my gas money.
So is anybody else happy?
I will make a donation of $49 for our 49th anniversary.
That sounds
very apropos. Yes.
And I'll make some happy bucks because yesterday my husband was supposed to smoke a couple chickens in the smoker, which he's put on wheels and whatever. And so I get a phone call yesterday afternoon and he says, "How do you cook chicken in the oven?" And I said, "Well, I thought you were smoking those." And he said, "Well, I blew up the smoker, so you cook them in the oven." And I said, "Well, put them in at 350 for an hour and I'll be home." So when I get home, he's sitting in the chair and I look at him, he looks pretty funny.
Uh-oh.
Well, the smoker blew up on him and his eyebrows were singed off, his chest hair was singed off, his hair on the side of his head was singed off.
God.
He looked like he had been in sunburn. He was all the black stuff all over his furry body. And I said, why didn't you tell me you blew yourself up? And he said, oh, well, you know, whatever.
Jeez.
And so I will donate that he didn't end up
God.
in the emergency room like he typically does. Because when we were first together, he blew up a mini bike on him and he actually was burnt and scarred from it. So I'm happy this wasn't a repeat of that.
Little known fact about smokers, you occasionally need to clean them out.
Yeah. I'll let him know that. I think he will now.
I have to ask, Laurie, was that a gas smoker of some sort? Was it gas?
Yeah,
that exploded?
it was a propane. And what happened is he said, he opened the door and I guess all the whatever went down to it's a huge big one, you know, like a, I don't know, $500 or $600 one. And all the smoke went to the bottom and relit whatever that thing is at the bottom and then just blew up at him. So
Wow.
Of grease.
anyway, yeah, it's a boy thing.
Yep. Joe, you have something. You raised your hand.
I did, and thank you, President Barbara. Those of you who know, I've had a slow fade to retirement, working a few hours, you know, for the last few months. Well, yesterday I signed my formal separation papers, and I'm officially retired as of June 15th. Very exciting.
No
Yep.
takebacks. No takebacks.
There's a form?
No, it's done.
So
Oh
congratulations.
yeah. We have. Well, we're a big corporation, so we've got these various forms and different other things. So anyway, made it official.
Super. Dan Needham, you raised your hand.
Yes, I'm joining you today from Connecticut, and I'll throw in some happy bucks because I'm getting to see relatives again after the pandemic. We're at my stepmom's house and we celebrated a couple of graduations with Miriam's nephews, and get to see my brother this evening. I haven't seen him in a few years, so.
Super.
Dan, what city you in?
Madison, Connecticut.
Very good.
Okay, Richard Ruge, you've got your hand raised.
So $50 for my 31st wedding anniversary, which is today. And I'm very excited about our speaker. He's a friend of mine and he's a wonderful man, Skip Charles.
Great. Thank you. Nick, you raised your hand.
Teresa and I are off to Manhattan next week for a week, and then a month up in Putnam County, New York with grandbabies and their new swimming pool.
Fabulous. Isn't it nice that we can now start getting out and going places and seeing family and all that kind of stuff? It really makes you appreciate it.
Yes.
After the last, 15, 16 months.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if the Putnam County is going to have their spelling bee when you're there, Nick.
I'll ask.
So, anybody else?
One other happy back for me. It's a little in advance, but I'm going to Vermont for the first time to visit my oldest brother out there, and we're getting together. So it's another one of them family things. In July, so I'll be out there for a week.
Nice.
Great.
Nice. Well, if everybody's happy, it's really nice to hear everybody happy and doing things. So on that
Marnie
note,
has a happy buck, if I might.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. One real quick.
Sorry. Gareth and I are going to Molokai next week. And so we chose the least traveled island where we can just chill and enjoy the water. So I'm in for happy bucks.
All right. I've been to Molokai many times. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to get some tips.
And you can take a helicopter down. You don't have to take the mules down to that bottom thing. Just letting you know.
Okay. So, Charlie, are you handling doing our introductions of our program?
I am. And Skip, thank you very much for being with us this morning. We last heard from Skip a couple of years ago regarding the Map Your Neighborhood project. Rugi mentioned that it's been upgraded and things have changed. So Skip is going to give us an update on that. He's a longtime Sebastopol resident. He's been volunteering with the Community Emergency Response Team, also known as CERT, beginning in 2006. And that's a program that Rotary was involved in or is involved in with the fire department. He contracts as a public safety outreach coordinator, and he started that after the 2018 fires. He assists with expanding this community level emergency response capability through the Map Your Neighborhood program, which is also a Rotary assisted program. So again, Skip, thank you very much for coming back. Away you go.
All right. Good morning,
Welcome.
everybody. Can I share the screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I always dislike it when all of a sudden my face is this huge face in the middle of the screen. So, whoa. Looking forward. So I can share my screen now, correct?
Yep.
All right. So I shall do that and get rid of that and bring this over. Okay, so you already know this part, but I do want to, if I can, get you to pay attention to sebastopolready.org, which is a brand new website that was made live actually last night, and we're really excited about it. It has a focus for the Map Your Neighborhood program, and will actually enlarge as we go along. But the Map Your Neighborhood program is the main thing that I'd like to be able to talk to you about. So the Rotary supported, it's really true. When we started in 2000, excuse me, when we started in 2006 with the CERT program, which is the Community Emergency Response Team, thanks for that, Charlie. The Rotary was really instrumental in being able to help that program. And then in the first few years, we realized that instead of training individuals to be prepared for emergencies, we decided that it would really be best if we went out into the neighborhoods and tried to find a program that would allow people in the neighborhoods to coordinate with each other and to collaborate with each other. So in 2010, we started that program, the Map Your Neighborhood program. And then the CERT program slowly sort of faded away. So we've really only been involved with the Map Your Neighborhood program now since 2010. And Rotary has assisted with that, also helping with the purchase of the workbooks that are part of the Map Your Neighborhood program. And I'm gonna jump to a page here, but before I do, I wanna just let you know how this, how this works for us. We have a Map Your Neighborhood class, and that's where we actually invite people to come in, find out about the program. And right now it's a Zoom class. It's 60 minutes. When we were live, it was a 90-minute class. We're hoping to get back to that 90-minute in-person process. But then we move people on into what we call the Leader Council. And the Leader Council is where Gravenstein Health Action Coalition has assisted us in being able to administer a council where experienced neighborhood leaders come together with new leaders that have just taken the class. And we try to work with the new leaders to understand what they could do to overcome whatever barriers they might run into or whatever ideas that they might have, how we might be able to help facilitate that. And the Sebastopol Hardware Center has supported us in doing that, the class, the Leader Council. And then when a new leader has their first neighborhood meeting, we ask them to come back to the Leader Councils. There are 4 things that we ask people to do, and it's supported by the Sebastopol Hardware Center with a $50 gift certificate. So somebody that goes through those 4 steps for us, it's really important for us to be able to get them through those first 2 or 3 steps. The reason that's important is because our first iteration before the fires, we didn't really follow up with people. We presented the class, we let people go on about on their own, and either they picked up to do things in their neighborhood or they didn't, but we weren't really staying with them to try to help them do more within their neighborhoods. So that's something that this incentive program is designed to do. So, okay, so that's a little bit of that. So let me show you if I can figure out how to do this. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the Map Your Neighborhood program is 9 basic steps for people to be able to do following a disaster. So if you take a look at those real quick, I'll just sort of shut up for a moment. Some of you are familiar with this, I know. So the one thing that I do ask you to sort of like go back up to the top or near the top of the page and look at where it says in bold, at home. These are the steps that are intended for people to be able to do at home. Some emergency happens and you need to have, or what has been proven as needed is the ability to know, oh my gosh, what are the things that I need to do? Here are the first few things that you could do within your home in order to be able to be as ready as possible in that first little while after an emergency happens, during the chaos, if you will. So the Map Your Neighborhood program is designed to give people a basis of, oh, what do I need to do? I need to go get that workbook and take a look at those 9 steps, and I know the things that I can do. I can click them off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's basically what this is. So and then if you take a look at the drawings on the right, so the drawing there, that's the top drawing, shows a helmet, gloves, good shoes, the Map Your Neighborhood brochure. Hidden behind that helmet is probably a NOAA radio. So you'd be able to pick up on the weather and or other kind of reporting. And then the flashlight that is there, I recommend to people actually to use a headlamp rather than a handheld light, because then of course both your hands would be available for you to get yourself out of a room or pick up things that you need to get, whichever. And then the other drawings are just how we try to help people understand that in some situations, more of the rural settings, somebody might have, in order to be able to turn off the gas, it might be propane, and it would be a different kind of valve, which is shown in step 3 at the top, as compared to if you happen to have like a regular PG&E gas meter and the typical on-off valve. So that these are very important items when people are trying to figure out how to learn to be prepared. And once you find this out, it's like, oh, it just seems like so matter of fact. But there are a lot of people that don't know where that gas meter is, and they don't know that in the valve at the bottom on a regular gas meter that you really only need to turn it part way. So there's good solid information that's available even in this first part of the what we call the workbook. So if I could draw your attention also back over to step 6, you can see where it shows the fire extinguishers out at the curb. And the reason that it shows this is that if we're all in one neighborhood together and I don't happen to have a fire going on in my place, but somebody else might, if we all know that the fire extinguishers would go at the curb, then that would be really important for somebody that is having a fire and maybe they've used all of their fire extinguisher, that they would be able to come over and know where they could find another set of fire extinguishers if need be. And this is something that you work out in your meetings to be able to understand, is this a process that works in our neighborhood to use the fire extinguishers at the curb? If you're in a rural area, in all probability, that's not, I mean, you probably don't have a curb, so there's things that the neighborhood needs to work out, but what the Map Your Neighborhood program provides is sort of a basic structure, a structure to be able to just look at some basic ideas, talk amongst yourselves in your neighborhood to be able to make some decisions about what your neighborhood would do and how each of you would handle certain situations, and then just simply come together on how to be able to take certain steps. So these are the first of 9. And then here's again, sort of like in bold, with your neighbors. So take a look at you, if you will, at the next 3 steps of the 9 steps. So the neighborhood gathering site is actually a very interesting conversation that happens in neighborhoods, is whose house might we meet at? Who has the best opportunity to be able to be covered, out of the weather, hold the right number of people, maybe have either chairs or this or that or the next thing available? What does our neighborhood feel like we need if we're going to come to a gathering site? And again, an emergency has happened and you were at home and you took care of those first 6 steps. Basically, everybody has done the same things in the neighborhood. So now we're coming together to be able to decide, first and foremost, let me use the example of who's missing, who hasn't come to the gathering site. Okay, let's use Skip as an example. Skip typically shows up, but he hasn't shown up at the gathering site. So what are we going to do? So if you look at step 8, team 2, when we're forming teams, team 2 is really to go out and check and see who might be missing. Who are the vulnerable people that maybe would have showed up but haven't? How about that Skip fellow that hasn't shown up? Let's see if we can go and find out if there's something going on at his house. Maybe somebody in the neighborhood actually knows that I'm on vacation and therefore we don't really need to worry about Skip. Somebody in the neighborhood might know that information. This is part of the reason for coming together in the gathering site. And it's also part of the reason for doing some preparatory meetings, your neighborhood meetings where you get together and you talk through the basic steps and you talk through some of the other information that's available in the workbook, which are things like skills, what kind of equipment, who has the chainsaw, who has the 4-wheel drive, who's a medical person. These kinds of things are part and parcel of the structure of the Map Your Neighborhood program in order to be able to foster some communication, in order to be able to foster some collaboration, to be able to find out that there's a retired RN in the neighborhood that nobody really knew that there was, that this person was a retired nurse. This is really valuable information for our neighborhood to know. So this kind of information is what comes out when you start to have sort of a basic structure to be able to pose some questions. And it's these questions during these neighborhood meetings that bring this kind of information out. And that's really what the Sebastopol Map Your Neighborhood program is really all about, is collaboration. There's a manner in which the Map Your Neighborhood program in our first iteration, there's a manner in which it was taught in the classes, and we don't teach it the same anymore because we feel that we've had a learning. And the learning is that the most important thing is the coming together. What you all just did in the first 30 minutes that I had the opportunity to witness, just coming together and talking with each other and joking with each other and being willing to share what's going on. These are the kinds of things that we're actually looking to create within the neighborhoods. And as you may know about your own neighborhood, it's not across the board that we all do this all the time with everybody we know. There's a lot of hesitancy in neighborhoods, a lot of times anyway, to be able to come together. But what it takes is an effort. And that's really what the Map Your Neighborhood program is designed for, is to give people that take the class the opportunity to create that effort in a neighborhood meeting. And so I'm going to unshare my screen. I think I know how to do that. Where it says stop share. Oh yeah, we want to get rid of me because I want to be able to see everybody. Okay, so again, a big part of the Map Your Neighborhood program is talking to people about the information that gets put out. So in the next few minutes, I'd really like to just be able to hear from you. Those of you that maybe know something about the Map Your Neighborhood program, you might know Michael and Richard, they know the program a bit. So there are some that do know, and maybe there's some that haven't really heard about the program before and might have some questions. So if you will, just sort of consider that this is our neighborhood. We've had a neighborhood meeting and I've presented this information to you. Who has questions about this information for me or for others in the room?
Hi, it's Marty Webb. During the fire, it was interesting is we have a neighbor who's very thoughtful, who's involved in CERT. And when we were gone, she very nicely went around and turned off everyone's power at their box in their house because of a potential surge, which some people in the club did have a surge and they lost their refrigerator or whatever. The problem is without electricity, your computer didn't get the message until after I happened, she didn't put a sign on the door or anything. I eventually saw that my neighbors had lights, and when I looked on my phone, I could see that they had internet. Why didn't I? And then I found the message on the computer that said, "Oh, by the way, I've turned off everyone's power at the box." So there's an example of someone that was doing the right thing, but I didn't know. I was out of power an extra 3 or 4 hours calling Larry McLaughlin saying, "Call PG&E, I still don't have power."
Well, that's a great point. There's a learning. That would be something in our neighborhood that we would hopefully learn from. That the next time something happened, we would not have to go through that same sort of a process. That's exactly the kind of information. Somebody saw a problem, they had a solution for it, they sent the message, but then again, still the power was out. Great example. And Michael, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was curious how many houses or apartments, how many people are considered to be one group, one neighbor, one group of neighbors?
Sure. The Map Your Neighborhood program is designed for between 15 and 20 homes, maybe as many as 24, like 10 or 12 on the side of a street on a regular block. But there's really, it really depends on the neighborhood itself. There are a lot of neighborhoods, I'll use First Street as an example, that they have in the upper area, they have 8 homes. And in the lower area, I think they have 9 or 10. And so they sort of broke it up into what seemed like a logical setup for them. And there are many neighborhoods that act in the Sebastopol area, not just in town, but in the Sebastopol area, they have 5 homes and some have 20. There's a group in Forestville up on the Champs area. They have over 200 homes, but they've broken it up into 9 neighborhoods with 9 separate leaders in that particular area. And it's obviously it's rural. So they've made decisions based upon the topography that they're working with there. So their neighborhoods had to come together and make some decisions. So it's really up to the neighborhood. Recommended 15 to 20. I like line of sight as another guide, especially when it comes to rural area. Line of sight makes total sense. And you came back on, Michael?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Other questions?
I have a question. This is Linda. Good morning. Speaking of power outages, one thing we learned with a relative who needs oxygen, I was very concerned about just the planned power outages that happen, and maybe we made sure that she had a power source to at least run her oxygen. It's not necessarily an emergency, but it could have been an emergency for her. So preparation in that way. Do you guys handle like people in the neighborhood that might have medical concerns that are power related and consider reaching out to them in times of no power?
Well, when you say the fire department doesn't necessarily do that, but the program discusses that kind of thing, Linda, that should be happening, much like what you just described. So I've been in neighborhood meetings where people talk about, they ask the question in the equipment section of the program, who has a generator? So the neighborhood finds out who might be able to have a generator, and then somebody else might say, oh, well, I have medical supplies that need to be refrigerated. And then those two people ultimately, hopefully, are able to make some kind of connection between that generator that will keep a refrigerator running and the person that has those medical supplies coming together. Or as you're talking about, oxygen, and who has it, and maybe there's not sufficient storage somewhere, but somebody else says, oh, well, we could store those over here. That's where, when you start to open up the conversations, you start to find out the kind of resources that are available within your neighborhood, and who has a willingness to be able to help. And frankly, who has a reluctance. It's also really good to know that people are just like, I can't really do that. I use myself as an example. I'm not very good with blood. Okay, so when it comes to a medical emergency, I'm not the guy. When it has to do with blood anyway, I'm not the guy. But you need some help with, something structurally, or you need some help with moving people from here to there via vehicles and other things. I'm your guy for that, but I'm not the guy for the blood. So there are people in the neighborhood that we need to understand if there are not just limitations, but if there are vulnerabilities, like what you were describing with the need for oxygen. During an emergency, my good friend Richard has taught me this, during an emergency, everybody is vulnerable. Okay, but people come to that emergency, some people come to that emergency with vulnerabilities. And it's really good for our neighborhoods to understand the people that might be coming to an emergency with an existing vulnerability. Okay, whether that happens, no matter what that vulnerability might happen to be. English as a second language could very well be a vulnerability during an emergency. We need to know that. Okay, we need to understand that in our neighborhood. Obviously, having the oxygen situation, having need for medical supplies, possibly being somebody in a wheelchair or incapacitated in some way. These are really good things for us to be able to know in the neighborhood for when something happens. I'll give you a quick example of a rural area, where when everybody was evacuated, they came back for their first neighborhood meeting afterwards, and they found out that the fellow that was in the neighborhood that was in a wheelchair, had a driver that typically came and took care of him, had a van that was all set up, and everybody saw the van that was there when they were leaving. Nobody bothered to check. Well, the driver never showed up for that person. So their whole neighborhood left. And this fellow, although he was okay, he had everything he needed in his home, and he was really, he was okay by staying. But I sat in the meeting, and you could see people's shoulders just drop, that they realized that they had left somebody behind simply because nobody had bothered to check. And I could pretty much guess that neighborhood will never make that mistake again because of that, because you could tell how impactful that was. They knew something, but they didn't act on it. Next time they'll act on it. There are a lot of neighborhoods that don't know what they need to know about those in their neighborhood that they might be able to help, and the person in the neighborhood that might actually be able to help me when I have something going on. Knowing that there's somebody that has a particular set of skills that I have a concern about, knowing that that person is in the neighborhood, my shoulders will probably drop a little bit also, but drop because I feel more comfortable. I feel more like, okay, I understand something that I was concerned about. So anyway, that's part of that's part of what happens in the neighborhood. And you can tell, I get pretty excited about this information and working with people in the neighborhoods, because it's so absolutely incredible when people find this stuff out about their neighborhoods, and it's like mind blowing for them to realize they have so much available to them to help during an emergency. It really does help people to relax. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up. More questions?
Yeah, Skip, I just have a question regarding telephone service. I know landlines these days are not so much really landlines, with the voice over internet. So if the power goes out, you lose your phone. But we also have a copper line, based old kind of phone line. Yeah. What I heard in the last emergency was that AT&T did not maintain the substations, and even those went down. Has that been rectified so that my copper, secondary phone line will continue to work if there's a power outage?
I think should, Jerry, is the operative word there. And so you're talking about POTS, P-O-T,
Yes,
plain old telephone system.
exactly.
That's exactly what they call it. So supposedly some systems, even the copper systems, went down because of the fires themselves, and because they didn't have generators that lasted any longer than they were able to last. So whether or not that's really been improved or not, I don't know. But the copper lines, if you do have a copper line, it's really good to be able to keep that, because it is a backup communication just in case, the cell services go down. That's also for the Map Your Neighborhood program and the Sebastopol Fire Department. We have the Sebastopol Neighborhood Communications Unit, which is an FRS and ham radio and now GMRS radio group that is assisting the Map Your Neighborhood program to be able to get more and more neighborhoods that are using FRS, which is walkie-talkies and or ham radios, to be able to have that backup communication. So along with that copper, and if the cell goes down, there's an opportunity possibly to be able to connect via FRS radios. And I heard somebody else was having a question.
One more question.
Okay.
Question.
Bruce?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, Bruce had his hand up.
Is this a nationwide program, statewide program, or just local Sebastopol?
It is a FEMA program, and it is nationwide, Bruce. It's been operating for quite some time. It originated out of the Pacific Northwest, out of Washington State, but it is a FEMA program. So it's all over the United States. And that's,
Super.
I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting. And I know living out here, because we live out in West County on our little road, we are pretty much our own community informally. But yeah, this is really important stuff, folks. And we need to know like who has cats and who needs cat food and all that. There's a multitude of issues that it all boils down to get to know your neighbors.
Yes.
So thank you very much. And
Yes,
I will go
thank you.
back to my screen share. Diana Curtis, you have a way clean joke, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Woohoo!
Yoo-hoo. There is this fellow, he was concerned. He thinks his wife is losing her hearing. So he says, I'm going to test this. And he sees her standing there and she's faced away from him doing some stuff. And so he says, honey, can you hear me? No answer. He comes a little closer. Honey, can you hear me? No answer. He's thinking, aha, okay. Well, I'll get right behind her and try again. Honey, can you hear me? She turns around and looks at him and says, for the third time, yes.
Thank you. Well, Michael McLaughlin, guess what? You didn't get richer. And they really do tease you. But, this ladybug luck, maybe whatever it is that David does next year, everybody will be luckier. So Joe, take us away, please.
Here we go. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
So hasta la vista. See you all
Great
next
day,
week.
everybody.
It's been
Take care,
another
everybody.
fabulous morning. Ta-da-ta-da. Stop recording.
Da-da-da.
Yes, I stopped recording.